Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's James. Just have a sip of my coffee here. And it's been a while since I made my last video. So this is my continued series about what it was like starting my journey into teaching English abroad in Asia. So last time I was talking about, the very beginning of this process. You know, I was looking for different jobs, firstly in Europe, and then it became quite clear to me that, it was quite difficult to get a job close to home. So I would have to start opening my mind a little bit and think, okay, maybe I have to go much further than what I originally intended. So yeah, as mentioned in my last video, I got an email for a job interview in China. So at first, obviously it was quite daunting, even thinking about going there. With it being, first of all, the distance, but also, I didn't know a lot about China at the time, but I knew that it was likely to be very different from, the UK, the northeast of England. First of all, in the sheer size of the place, but also just a completely different culture, completely different way of, being the country was being run, or at least it seemed that way from the sort of small amount of knowledge that I had at that time. Anyway, I got an email from this company in China. After I applied to them, it was very fast, within 24 hours. So that felt like, it was very promising that it was that quick that they got back to me. And anyway, I had the interview. It was online. Very nice young lady. And it was kind of the strangest interview I'd ever had, because when I was interviewing for jobs before, especially when I was trying to be, a chiropractor, the interview was more like kind of almost like a test of what I knew and what I would do in certain situations. It was very much about, me, as opposed to the job itself. And they didn't really sell me the job because they felt like I had to kind of prove myself to them. So, but this interview was the opposite. It was, the girl, she just talked a lot about what was going to happen, moving to China, what the job was, and then, she didn't really ask a lot of me in terms of, what I knew about, teaching, which I didn't really know much. I'd done a TEFL course, as I mentioned in the previous video, but it was mostly online, and that's very different from the actual job. So the interview went very well from that viewpoint. I didn't really feel I had to, prove myself to her, because she was doing that to me, it seemed. So I felt very confident about this, about the actual prospect of me getting a job there. So my mind started to move away from thinking, okay, this is a possibility, to actually, this could happen. This is a real thing that could happen to me. And, within a couple of days, I got a reply from them saying, we'd like to offer you a position. And, I was blown away, really. Such a huge change that was going to come into my life. So they did ask one thing of me to do a video, a teaching video, short video, a few minutes, just showing some teaching skills, which I didn't really have any. I didn't really know what to do. I just kind of got some pieces of colored paper and just try to present colors, repeat the colors, everything like that. But I didn't really know what I was doing, and the video was quite lame, to be honest, looking back on it. But I sent it anyway. They'd already offered me the job, so it seemed weird that they were asking me to do this. Like, I would have thought they would have you know sort of got me to do this as part of the interview process. So I sent it, and they seemed okay with it for some reason. And then they kind of told me what documents I needed to send to China, along with my passport, of course, to get my work visa. It was going to take 3 months, so it was quite a long time. So I spent a lot of that time just planning, trying to watch as many YouTube videos as I could about people living in China, foreigners living in China, try to get an idea of what it's like there, and started to get very excited about it. I didn't feel too nervous, and I was just I was really ready for the change. And so yeah, that was the beginning of my journey into China. So yeah, next time we'll talk about what happened when I actually got there, and it was quite a shock, actually. A number of annoying things happened actually at the beginning, but we'll talk about that next time. So thanks for listening, and see you on the next video. Okay, bye bye for now.